This week's US CQM Forecast Alert is NIPA revisions back to 2019. This week's forecast, NIPA statistics such as GDP, personal income, etc. have been revised back to 2019. The economic growth rate for 2024 Q3 is expected to rise to between 2.5% and 3.0%, with the 50 basis point cut in the policy interest rate at the FOMC meeting on September 18th to match. All aggregated indicators are growing at 2.5% or more. The real economy in 2024 Q3 is strong. All inflation indicators are stable between 1% and 2%. The statistical discrepancy, which had been expanding rapidly since 2022 Q4, has been significantly reduced by the revision of the NIPA. Recently, the SD-GDP ratio had been as large as 2.5%. When the economic growth rate is revised, for some reason there are many upward revisions. We can see that the revision range for real GDI is much larger than that for real GDP. In 2024 Q2, real GDI was revised upward by more than 2%. There is no significant difference between real GDP and real GDI in terms of long-term average economic growth rate. However, there is a large difference between quarterly growth rates. The quarterly average absolute difference between real GDP growth and real GDI growth is 2.27%. Therefore, forecasting approaches that include at least both the expenditure and income sides are essential to judge the current economic growth rate. Conclusions from this week's US CQM Forecast Alert. The first, economic growth rate is expected to be between 2.5% and 3.0%. The second, inflation rate is stable between 1% and 2%. The third, the NIPA revision significantly reduced statistical discrepancy from 2022 Q4 onwards. The fourth, while there is not much difference in the long-term average economic growth rate between real GDP and real GDI, there are large differences between quarters. This slide contains additional information about this week's detailed CQM forecast.